there then, and the race changes in the mental approach by then, because you're close enough to home that no matter how bad you're feeling, you can raise something. So it's this next 10 minutes that'd be crucial. I reckon those first two will be trying to make a break.
And there we go. We've got our third wheelchair competitor just making their way to the finish line here at the Sydney Opera House, merged in amongst the runners that have come through for the half marathon. So congratulations to our third place getter in the wheelchair, as the half marathon runners also continue to come through.
So I think we had Kurt Fernley,
yes,
Nathan Arkley, and maybe, not sure if it's Richard Nicholson, maybe we'd look for.
Well, Ian Road and also Christy Dawes making their way through in the wheelchair as well.
Well, as Mona said, I think we're getting down to the crunch time now. This next 10 minutes of the marathon is probably where it's all going to actually happen in terms of the places. But they're still tucked in there in a little group of four. And I suppose all the way through, we've said that Kanoush looks very relaxed. He is perhaps, I think, the slowest man in that group, though, in terms of PBs.
Yeah, I just think he looks so good today, and they're probably only on that pace anyway. So whilst we're saying these other guys are 2:8, 2:9 runners, they're running at 2:13 pace, which they're all capable of running. So I think it's now, forget about the times and say, okay, who's looking good? Someone's got to go. They're going to make a decisive move in the next couple of K, no doubt about that.
Well, I just saw the banner there of just 6.5 kilometres to go. So as we said, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty now in this race.
The Darling Harbour precinct is where they're moving past at the moment. Beautiful area that was transformed, and some of the best eating establishments, beautiful dining, bars, coffee shops, all in Darling Harbour, as well as plenty of tourist attractions as well. You've continued to write him off. You've said he's not going to get there, but Lucky Mahali in the cap is still holding on in fourth spot.
He's got heavy foot plant, he's got shoulder rock, he's dropping his right arm all the time. 3 telltale signs that he's not travelling all that well, but he is still in that group. So I'm a very bad judge at this point in time.
And some of the beautiful attractions at Darling Harbour, Madame Tussauds in Sydney, Sea Life Sydney Aquarium, also Wildlife Sydney as well. Darling Harbour named after Lieutenant General Ralph to 1831. So a very lively spot that was originally part of the Port of Sydney, including the Darling Harbour Railway goods yard, and as I said, transformed to what is this marvellous tourist mecca now that these athletes, the 4 athletes out in front in the men's marathon, are just making their way through.
And at the Sydney Olympics, Ian, although I was behaving myself in the village in a Darling Harbour, it was, to use an Australian term, going off.
Yes.
It was the party central.
I do remember talking to a couple of athletes, and they said, whatever you do, don't interview me while I'm at Darling Harbour. Nothing good will come out of that.
So you never went there at all then, Monas?
I did not. I seriously didn't. Well, I went there on the way to the marathon start on the Sunday afternoon, but that was about it.
Getting to the closing stages, Darling Harbour is where we are at the moment. 4 runners out in front, and who will be first on the podium, we'll find out very, very shortly. It's all part, with 5.89 kilometres to go, all part of the Blackmores Sydney Running Festival. So there's our 4 athletes out in front at this stage. Ben Kanoush, El Hussein Ben Kanoush, the man in white, and then followed up a couple of Kenyans and also the South Africans in Lucky Mahali, who Steve Monaghetti has said is absolutely... Have you written him off completely?
I have, yes.
I'm
going to go out there with a stick in a minute and just drag him off the course.
I might be with Steve Ovett. Maybe he's going to come up and pip them all on the line.
Well, look at them, though. They're all still there. I mean, everybody's in with a chance of winning the race, getting the prestige and that 10,000 metres prize money. So, yes, they're going to give it their all, aren't they? Kanoush, though, you get the feeling, though, that he's just waiting. You know, maybe he's waiting maybe a little bit too long, because sometimes if you hold back for too long and then someone makes a big move, you can't really accelerate and keep up with them.
I always think you want to get down to 3, because in my mind, you want to be on the dais. So I am surprised that they are not putting some pace in here to at least get rid of one. I reckon when you're down to 3, you probably get an idea. You want to test them a bit to see what that finishing effort's going to be. I am amazed that they have not put in a couple of surges at this stage, because you need to see how, if they're going to outkick me, I don't know historically whether they're fast or not. If you put in a surge now, you get a bit of a sense of whether they will have something left for the finish.
And statistically, you don't know what sort of speed you're up against with the other athletes.
No. Their PB will give you nothing. Unless you've raced against one or two of these individuals, you will not know whether they are going to sprint past you in the last 100 metres.
So it's sort of a bit cagey at the moment, and they've got to be a bit careful. You can see Lacouche just suffering a little bit, Canouche up that hill, slight incline, and he's dropped off a little bit as the pressure comes on, really, from Coitelet there, just looking over his shoulder at the others behind. And I think at last, maybe not, it is a group of 3, but not the 3 you predicted.
No, exactly. I think it's Julius Carrier who's really felt that injection of pace.
Carrier has gone off the back, and the surge has been made. That little elastic band has been broken. So Coitelet certainly asserting his authority there. Ben Canouche in there as well. And here is Julius Carrier. Is he a chance to get back on?
No.
He looks tired, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's still looking up the road, which is good, but the fact he's lost such a quick gap in a short space of time, that's it.
So we're now down to a race in 3, and that 3 includes Coitelet, and we've then got also Ben Canouche in there, and Lucky Mahali, who might just be lucky in the end.
He may be.
Funny thing is, when they go around those tight bends, Monis, you can really see that when they drop the pace, they can't pick it up again if they're tired. And Carrier, when he went round that bend, literally stopped before he picked the pace up again.
Yeah, so he certainly, he should be really worried. Rather than getting a drink, he should be worried about getting onto the back of that pack. So he's obviously feeling like, he's struggling off the back.
And it looks like Lucky Mahali, rather, they're splintering now, really starting to splinter. So Coitelet has turned on the pace.
Thank God for that. So we've got it right where they have up that hill where they just sorted them out. So the hill did it for them. They didn't actually need to surge. They went up the uphill, realised a couple were struggling. When they've turned and got the downhill steep, they've taken off, and we've established the race now.
Great running from Carrier now, just moving well in his effort.
As we have a look at the lead runner, and it's gone down from 4 to 1. It has all happened because Willie Coitelet, the 27-year-old from Kenya, just approaching the 2-hour mark, has decided to assert his authority, and he's opened up a handy margin. Sitting behind him is Al Hussein Ben Canouche from France, the 32-year-old, but the number 2 of Willie Coitelet, he's really put his foot down here.
That's it. This is the winning move. He's looking up the road, no problems at all. Got the hand signals out. Keep it cool, going well, all good. It's a race for him to win.
Yeah, but look at the distance he's opened up so quickly.
This is how it unfolded. You can see we're already down to 3 because Carrier has gone out the back door. Julius Carrier, the 31-year-old from Kenya, just on the slight rise there, couldn't quite match it with the opening 3, and then really started to splinter from there. Once Carrier had dropped off, all of a sudden Coitelet put the pedal to the metal.
And you can see the bikes there, they were struggling they had to get out of the pedals to get up that hill, and then when they went around, there's a little turn, they turned, and the downhill was where the pack absolutely exploded.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? It was the terrain which actually made the difference.
The Sydney Harbour, of course, is home to yachting enthusiasts. There's plenty of recreational boating. You can see the wakes. That is the heads. That's where you go and you turn right for the Sydney to Hobart race and head on down the 630 nautical miles to Hobart, back to the Sydney CBD. But the Sydney Harbour is a magical playground for recreational boating. Picturesque waterway, family, friends, you name it. It's all a part of the iconic scenery on the Sydney Harbour. Watching the runners coming through the Darling Harbour area at the moment, and we've gone from 4 to 1 literally in the blink of the eye, and it is Willie Coitelet who is out front inside the last 5 kilometres.
Yeah, at 3-minute Ks, 4K, so he's 12 minutes, so he will be in between that 2:13, 2:14 mark, and they've been on that pace the whole time. So whilst this is an injection of pace, it's actually interesting that it's as much the other guys getting tired and dropping off.
Well, it's interesting, wasn't it, that at that point where they went up the hill, it literally just made it sort of catalysed the whole effect. We were waiting for something to happen. It was just that slight incline which really put the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of getting the position sorted out for the rest of the race.
And that's what we say about the marathon. marathon, Steve and I well know that that will be how it might seem like you'd go for a drive over that. It's nothing. It's just a little molehill. But on a day like today, and for the other 4,000 competitors out there, that hill, if it's hitting these elites like it did just then, imagine the other participants, that will be a mountain when they get to it.
He has got a marathon title under his belt, the 2011 Shanghai Marathon. He was the champion there in 2 hours 10.21. That was on debut, so he knows how to win, and he's made the winning move here, you would suspect.
And that's a significant thing. Once you've won a race before, you know what that feeling is, and the fact he's won before really gives me confidence that he's running strongly to the finish.
Oh, he's looking good. I mean, he's running so smooth. There's power there still in his stride. That's the most important thing. But it's just strange how quickly, though, the others gave up the ghost. I mean, it was literally instantaneous, wasn't it? You know, that as you see, that cord between you and the leader just broke instantaneously there, and they just went straight off the back.
And it shows how, whilst it is a physical event, if you hit the wall, you're getting fatigued, so much of it is a mental battle. And when you suddenly realise, oh, I thought I was going to win this race, a guy runs 10 metres up the road, you suddenly say, no, I'm not.
Here is our lead woman, and that is Biratat Degafar from Ethiopia, the number 14. And she's had it all to herself for probably the last half an hour or so, maybe the last 40 minutes, when her closest opponent in Beatrice Chepkembai dropped out. So for Biratat Degafar from Ethiopia, she's certainly a race in one at this stage.
She's actually up to 11th in the overall race.
Wow.
So she's running very, very strongly. And we talk about that Australian marathon title. Alex Matthews has just broken away from Josh Harris and Matthew Cox, and she's actually just behind that lead male. So she's only really running very strongly.
A wonderful effort from the 22-year-old Ethiopian. A decade older, this is the 32-year-old Frenchman in El Hussein Ben Kanouche, and he looked very good for substantial periods of this marathon, but then just had the heart broken instantaneously.
I think he's doing well, though. I mean,
he still looks pretty good.
I mean, second place for him is a good performance here in Sydney, and even though he's being really shown a clean pair of heels by the man up in front there, he's doing really well. He's taking a lot of fluids there on that last feeding station. He must be suffering badly.
This is number 10, which is Lucky Mahali from South Africa, the 28-year-old. He's currently sitting in third, the Republic of South Africa. So he's hung on, Monis. You tried to get him off the back, but he's hung in there.
He has. He is looking behind, so he's doing all the wrong things, but doesn't matter at this stage because he's protecting that third. Because he always worry. You know, I look to see. I say, well, why can't I think about second? And if I get, then at least I've got some incentive. Whereas if you're looking around, that means he's protecting third. But gee, he looks like he's okay anyway. He's within that.
Korea's about 200 metres back there, but you never know in the marathon. You just don't know. He might catch him. You don't know.
And placings mean nothing. When you hit the wall, it's about survival.
Yeah. And actually just getting across to the line, we can see the beautiful Sydney Harbour Bridge there. That is full of the bridge runners, started by Glenn McGrath, and they're making their way across the bridge. That's a 9-kilometre affair and finishes at the Conservatorium of Music. But this is our race leader, Willie Koitele, and he's inside the last couple of kilometres. He will sense that $10,000 prize money, Steve Ovett, and he'll be just looking to get home first.
He knows he's got it. I mean, that's the great thing about the marathon. I'm sure Steve would say, if you're in front, you're feeling good, and you know you're going to win the race, it must be the most relaxing sort of feeling you could possibly